I'm Chris Thomas, and this is Master Class. Somebody grabs you, but if I go, it's mine, you can't have it. But if I go, it's mine, you can't have it. See? But he wants to punch me. So there are different things I can do to avoid getting punched, okay, that don't involve me blocking, because remember, that's a dirty word. Number one, I can go over here. Number two, I can go like this, and he goes over there. Number three, I go like this, and he goes over there. Why don't I do them all? Do you see where his head is? See how my body is turned and facing him. If I turn my body this way, see, I don't even have to think necessarily about striking. I just twist, and it's right there. I am not getting, in this technique, I have zero contact on the lower body. So I do know that this is not as dense in some ways as some of the other things we've done. But what we're trying to do here, we've got a lot of Tai Sabaki. This is body management, controlling the combative space. This is, I'm using a fundamental technique, a basic technique, Shuto, to give me a palm turn, and then I'm combining that with the pressure point strikes, because strike a point to attack a joint to attack a point. Step one, this part, so he's grabbing like this, so I think of this piece of his palm right here, and I want to pull it in and a little bit down, right into my chest, right into center, if I can. Now, this is my still point. See how my hand is grabbing? I'm not just grabbing, I'm pinning him, and I have one finger sneaking up underneath. If I can, I want to get into the hole here. There's this little hole, and if I can, I want to reach under that hole and touch heart 8, because just the act of reaching under, watch this, you'll see this, causes that knuckle to rise, which creates an effect that's just basically the same as doing this, just not as extreme. But I can also make that worse, because if I press my chest against this bone right here, that's his little pinky, that also drives this knuckle back. So I do them both, because I always like to do two things that do the same thing instead of one. And then there's a palm turn. So all you really have to do is go, whoa, right? And now, grab, oh, that's Nahanchi, right? That's Nahanchi. But we're not doing Nahanchi, we're doing Shuto. So Shuto says also a hand comes out. Well, the thing is, if you start to put a palm turn on somebody, one of their escapes is to raise their elbow this way. Because if he raises his elbow, that he starts to get out of it. So then to do a palm turn, one of the things that you do, I mean, if you know, you can utilize that and go, I want you to raise your elbow, and you can actually make it happen, and then go into something else, because that's really what you want. Or you can keep that elbow down, right? But I'm not necessarily want to be nice about that. There's large intestine 10. So I've got a lot of pressure coming in here on the small intestine. The small intestine and heart meridians are, small intestine's compressed, heart meridian is stretched, a lot of pressure on the fire side. Fire gets metal. So why don't I hit large intestine 10, and remember the direction is this way. But I'm not going to aim for it, because that doesn't have much margin of error. So I'm just going to kind of slice my whole arm across this way. Boom. And so what I'm doing is this, see that? But as I do that, I'm turning this way. That does two things at the same time. It cranks the palm turn, and it powers the large intestine 10 shot, and they actually do it together. And you get that effect. And my body is facing him, and now his head's gone a little too far away, and I don't want to chase him, so I don't turn to hit that point. I pull back. So now I just lock this to my body. I still have my hand open. I'm using this bump right here, and I lock this to my body. Just so happens I'm grinding against the triple warmer meridian when I do it. But that's merely a coincidence. Not intentional at all. When I do that, see where his head comes? That's right where my hand is going, right into gallbladder 20. And it's a basic knockout. So watch this mechanic. It's teaching how to move the body in the action we call splitting, but also how to manage the body throughout the technique. So, and then concentrate on the pulling, the splitting movement. See? So it's actually a really interesting technique. It's at a nice level. It's comprehensible. By removing the lower body for anything other than good structure and concentrating on the hip motion, it gives you a chance to focus in on some really key elements, but gives you an essential concept that then can be slipped around to a lot of other katas as well. Because once you understand this, you know, it's just like, oh man, you know, it can be all kinds. There's a lot of joint techniques that you can just handle that same way with that simple turn. And you can go into water stance, you can go into reverse metal, you can shift this way into front stance. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. So it's super useful understanding, and it's a nice way to learn it. So this point right here, I pull. Okay? So this is 1/2 of it's mine, you can't have it. All right? So I do 1/2 of it's mine, you can't have it. At the same time, this hand hits large intestine 10. Now remember, he's going to punch me with this hand, right? So watch, he's punching me. You see that the same line of attack that I'm going to do on large intestine 10 is the line of attack that will put my hand in the way to obstruct if I miss or screw up or bounce off or whatever. So this, and see my hand is pointing where his other hand is. Okay, so I didn't do any leg work here. So now let's just do the leg work. The leg work looks like this. I step diagonally over. So this is a good way, good training for what we call triangle stepping, because I'm going to move both legs successively. So if all I do right now is lock this here, I step here, and then I turn to face 45 degrees. Palm turn. Not with my arms, my hands, or my strength, but just with my body. All I'm really doing is holding in here. The only special thing is I'm trying to put a finger in just right there. Trying to get a finger there. That's the only thing. His head is, and then there's the target. So I could just go boom, and that would be a sufficiently awesome technique. So in fact, let me show you that sufficiently awesome technique. If I just go like this, bam! Now, can you walk away? Just walk away. Just walk away. Leave the gas and walk away. See what I just did Naihanchi. So part of the reason I wanted to show you that is a technique that you teach, you want your student to come up to you at some point and say, hey, could I do that same thing for this move in Naihanchi? Yes, but don't tell anyone, that's more advanced. Or, very good, now, because you're in an earth stance, but you're attacking a wood point, now I want to introduce you to transmutation of element. But this is advanced, so don't tell anybody, but here's the ki you use. Right? So now you got a student who's been rewarded for not for creativity and like coming up with something new, but more, what's really important, which is called transferable principle. They've transferred one thing from over here to over here, and that's a more important quality, because that's when you start to see how it links together. I've been telling people this for years. Nobody ever believes me. I only know 8 things. Okay? I've said it for years. One day after I'd said it way too many times, one of my students sarcastically said, Beethoven, you sure did a lot with those 8 notes. But that's actually the point. If you know 8 things, but you apply them all the time. So that was my saying. I only know 8 things. I just do them all the time. But there are only 8 notes in an octave. Okay, it's 13 if you count all the black keys and you're like really getting wild, like you're playing jazz. Okay, there's 13 keys in jazz and 8 notes in normal music. But you understand, that's a limited number of things, and then what you can do with all of that. It's this and this, and when I do that, I do all this at once. I go, bam, one move. Head comes back, strike. I'm grabbed, he's going to punch me. I go, boom. Pull this back, see? This motion, by the way, I'm not pulling back this way. I actually pull this towards my center line and turn. Can you see this? Let's stretch this out. Watch this. I'm facing him. I'm going to pull right towards my hara. So I want to bring this down right towards my hara, and then I turn back. See that? That's what I'm doing. So when I come here and I go boom, his head comes over, I pull down towards hara, which is, it's mine, you can't have it, and then I simply turn my body and I allow this hand to shoot out, and it will shoot out into his head. Now if you feel, when you do this, if you get a feeling like, man, I'm too close, I can't get the pressure. Yes, you can, you just have to do this, okay? So if your opponent's a little far away, you hit with hand, a little closer, you hit with the upper part of your forearm, too tight, you hit here. So this is the difference between this and this. This just means the person is closer because you need to move down to this part of your arm. So what you're doing is you're shortening. So here, because if you're here and you hit here, there's no power. But if you have to hit something here and you do it like this, it's really strong. So this move, if you ever see this in kata, that means that the opponent is too close for you to do that. So you do this and hit him down here. Thanks for watching. Now go train.